Hi there, my name is David Austin. I'm a tech lead here at Fish Tank. Today I want to talk to you about Sitecore Pages device layouts, where they are, how you change it, how you set that default behavior for both you and your authors. I wanted you to know that you're not alone. I too have wondered, how do I make it such that the default layout in Sitecore Pages is the flexible layout? Now, what am I talking about there? Well, in Sitecore Pages, we all know that we've got a number of options at our disposal that we can use to define what our layout is. I like this one. I've got a bigger monitor. I want to take advantage of the size. It's not always the best choice. Certainly, when we're testing pages, we want to know what the tablet looks like or the mobile layout looks like. But if we're generally just editing or adding components to the page, this is probably the nicest one, but it's not the default. The default is the desktop small layout. Even if I select tablet mode and I refresh the page, you don't have to. I'll show you what you can do. But if I happen to refresh it, it switches back to the default small. Now, if you're just needing to refresh your page, I highly recommend just you using the reload canvas. But there's no way in this entire interface to set the flexible layout. I think that there might be in the future. I fully anticipate there will be personal preferences that one could set my preferred layout. But let's say you're designing something and you've got your page and you want to set it up right away based upon your authors, and they like the flexible layout. This is the one that they want to come up first. They don't want to always have to switch it over. Or better yet, are there more options at your disposal? Is desktop large the absolute largest? Is there an Excel version? Or even more complex, are there breakpoints that I can change? Can I change these to match my design for my client? Well, it turns out you can. You can do all three of those options, and there are more options available. So we're going to have a look to see where you do that because, like I said, it's not here that you can set those options. We have to go back into Content Editor. So let's do that now. So we're over here on the local XM Cloud Foundation setup. Um, I highly recommend doing these changes locally because, for one, they should be serialized. Serializing them will ensure that all of your changes will apply to all of your environments. You don't want to be making that change in your QA and then having to recreate it in pre-prod or package it up across. This is something that should be done in your local, serialized, and then applied for the resource. So let's go into Content Editor. We're going to go over to System, Settings, Foundation. Stay with me now. Experience Accelerator, Horizon, and then you're going to see Devices. So devices, you can see we have all of the options underneath. We'll get to those in a moment. We're going to click Content, and you can see right here, this is our default. This is why desktop small is the default layout. So if I want to make it as flexible, if I want to make flexible the default layout, I can select that here. But that's not the only thing we should do. We're going to save that. And you can see now if I refresh my screen, if I'm, let's just say, over on tablet view, and it refreshes, you can see it's now back on flexible. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. Well, let's take a look at the devices underneath. And you can see we've got desktop large, desktop regular, desktop small, desktop XL with a 2000 device width. That's perfect. Now, why isn't that showing? Well, it turns out visibility is set to disabled. So we can make that now an optional layout. Go back here. We're going to refresh pages one more time. We can now see Desktop Excel is now an option in my list. I can select that, and you can see it's much wider now. Not going to work for me. I'm going to go back to flexible, at least on this view. We can now see, if we go to, say, tablet portrait, we can see device width and the stack columns of breakpoints, MD, medium, landscape, 950. We might say our desktop large, 1536, that doesn't work for me, or desktop regular, 1280, that doesn't work for me. We can change those. We can make it such that our desktop large is 1440. Let's save that. Go back over to pages, refresh. Have a look at our list. Desktop large is now 1440, which is pretty close to this view, as it turns out. You can see here by selecting these options, they're now showing up here as well. Now, what does that mean? So these are optional. The ones without checkboxes are essentially fixed. So if we go over back to Content Editor yet again, we can see visibility here is disabled, fixed, or optional. And you see there that visibility for flexible was optional. If we set it to fixed, hit save, back over to pages. I'm going to unselect these ones just for the time being, just so you can see it. So now these are the fixed ones that are here. If I refresh my page, you can now see that the flexible layout is indeed a fixed layout. So serializing this set, and you can go as far as changing icons. Like I said, you can change a number of options for the user. You could go as far as even changing the names if your authors want to see them different. But that's what you can do. So with all that organized, hopefully now when you're delivering your projects to your clients, take some time, set this up properly, set your breakpoints properly, have the conversation with them what their most preferred layout option is, because it might not be your option, right? So you want to make sure that when they get in there, then they're authoring, it's set up right for them. And doing that, doing this little change where you're setting breakpoints and setting the default layout is just an added extra thing that it makes it a little bit more personal to them. It's they now know that you are looking after every intricacy, not just setting it up so they can drag a component on the page. Hope you've learned something, and have a great day, everybody. Cheers.